The lid, off she goes. I married my wife 4 years ago. It was my first marriage and her second. We seemed to have had a good relationship and I thought all was well, but a little over 3 weeks ago I discovered she was having a full-blown physical affair with a contractor who had worked on our house. When I followed her to his apartment and confronted them together, she made a huge scene and she and him both attacked me together. I managed to X the crap out of him, but I ended up touch her too and giving her X nose. The neighbors called the cops and got taken in. Her lover was taken also on an outstanding warrant. I was charged with misdemeanor assault and I made my own bail that same night. When I got home around 3 a.m., my wife was not there. She was probably at her skanky girlfriend's house crying on her shoulder. I told my stepson what had happened. Then I packed my personal belongings and my guns and valuables up in my truck and I left that same morning. I immediately went to the bank and pulled out about $10,000 from an account we share. Then I drove away and have not been back home since. I am currently staying with a buddy at his place in a little unknown town about 2 states away. He has gotten me a job driving for his trucking company and I have no intention of going back to my cheating wife. Of course, she has been texting me non-stop since that night, claiming she wants me back, that she has broken up with her lover, and apologizing for attacking me along with her boyfriend. She claims she was only trying to keep me from hurting him because I am much stronger and bigger than him. But it is a lie. She attacked me because she was mad at me for breaking up her affair, and because she has a vicious temper. Her son is pissed at her too and he went and told all her family what she had done. He called me the other day to tell me she had kicked him out of the house after she found out he outed her to the in-laws. Everyone is texting me and calling me and wondering where I am. I have told no one where I am at and now that I have a job here, I feel I can start over. My question is, can I divorce my wife from the state I am currently living in, which has much more fairer divorce laws than the state my wife is in, or do I have to file in the state where she lives? I'm afraid if I try to divorce her back in her state, she will be able to get more from me than she deserves. I also want to know from all of you if I should go back and confront my wife. My buddy has told me I can stay as long as I need and until I get a place here. But he also says I should not run from my problems. I don't think I'm running from my problems. From where I am at, I am able to think a lot clearer than I would if I was back there. Also, I'm afraid I would let her talk me into taking her back, which I promised myself I would never do. She knew that cheating was the one thing that would break us up for sure. Well, she did it and now she can choke on it. But I wanted to know what you all think. My wife says her ex used to beat her and she ran from him and divorced him back around 2000. I met her in 2008 and we dated about a year before I let her talk me into marrying her. Looking back, a lot of what she told me about her first marriage didn't add up. My gut told me not to marry her. I should have never done it. I never met the ex and never thought to ask the in-laws if what she told me about him was true. They never talk about him, so I figured he was dead to them. I asked my stepson if she cheated on his dad and he says not that he ever knew. So, I don't know if she ever did this before. I have to appear the end of July for my court date. I think I'll go see a lawyer there and wrap up all my business at once. I just want to get this over with and get on with my life. I may go see the lawyer who did a medical claim for me back about 10 years ago. She is really competent and mean as a snake. Too bad she's married. I'd ask her out. The dirtbag isn't married. He is a skinny, scrawny, tattooed ex-biker type who must have gotten in a wreck some time ago because he walks with a cane. A scumbag in every sense of the word. His eyes got as big as saucers when he saw me pull into that parking lot and climb out of the truck. I'm 6'3", 355 pounds. I have to appear in court at the end of July. So, I have to go back anyways. I was the one who initiated the fight, so I will stand up and take my punishment like a man. They only charged me with 1 count of attacking him. I guess my wife told them some story because I wasn't charged for hitting her. I guess I owe her that much. My wife and I don't have anything to split. There is no alimony in her state that I know of. The house is a rental. I have never had a pot to piss in. I don't make much as a truck driver, and my wife has bounced from job to job. We only have about $23,000 in a money market account, and that came from a big bonus I made on a driving job I did in Alaska 3 years ago. I took less than half of that when I left her. She can have the rest. I don't want it. I did not actually punch her. I backhanded her after she jumped on my back to get me off her boyfriend. I threw her off and spun around and slapped her across the nose with the back of my hand. Lost my temper. Well, I did get one piece of revenge. I took our dog with me. My wife loves that dog. Probably over half the texts she sends me are asking how the dog is doing. One damn thing is for sure, she will never see him again. The landlord hired him. He does all the air conditioning work for the landlord. He came over about 2 months ago to get the AC ready for summer. I guess that's when the wife and him met. I also want to ask the landlord if there is anything I can do to prevent the scumbag boyfriend from moving in with my wife. My name is on the lease and the lease is not up for another year. I instigated by pushing him out of the way and grabbing her arm. I was going to haul her to my truck and take her home. When I grabbed her is when she went ape and started screaming at me not to touch her. She pulled away and I went to grab her again, and that's when he hit me with his cane on my back. Then I spun around and gave him a haymaker to the jaw and knocked him down. Then I jumped on him and wailed on him until she jumped on my back and was digging her fingernails into my face, trying to twist my head around. I stood up and threw her off, and that's when I spun around and smacked her. It was a wild fight. The look on her face when I hit her, I will never forget. Never expected her to turn on me like that. Not in a million years. I know my wife was pretty wild in her younger days, and yes, she went through a phase with meds. But as far as doing meds during our marriage, no, I never noticed anything suspicious. I admit my wife and I would occasionally smoke pot, but that was rare. I can count on one hand how many times we got high together. To be honest, I am the one who tends to drink and party too much. My wife has always been pretty temperate. But this experience has proven to me that anything is possible. If she was strung out when she attacked me, then that would go a long way and explain why she turned coat on me. Just got this string of emails from my wife. I went ahead and engaged her a little for the first time since I left. Check out her thought process. Why haven't you been answering? I know you are getting my messages. Talk to me, please. I can't believe you are going to throw away our marriage because I messed up. I told you I'm sorry and I mean it. How many times do I have to say it? Will you just let me know you are okay? Me, I'm okay. Funny you are worried about my well-being now. You did not seem worried when you and your boyfriend ganged up on me. I'm glad you are okay. And that is not what happened and you know it. I was trying to keep you from hurting him and I didn't want you to go to jail. You completely overreacted. Hello, where did you go? Me, how am I supposed to react when I find out my wife has been sleeping with another man and then see her kissing him in a parking lot? How would you react if you saw me kissing another woman and knew I had been screwing her? What do you want me to say to you, OP? How do I make this right? I met him and we got carried away. I never meant for any of this to happen. It was a mistake and I'm sorry. Please come home so we can work this out. I'm not seeing him anymore. I won't ever see him again, I promise. I love you and I want things to be the way they were before. Hello, why do you keep leaving? Where did you go? Me, things can't be the way they were ever again. Obviously, things were not as good as I thought because you went outside our marriage and had slept with a piece of garbage. How can I ever be around you knowing you defiled yourself with that filth? And as for what happened in that parking lot, I was there. You jumped me and tried to rip my head off. I have the scratches on my face to prove it. How am I supposed to ever trust your cheating bee again? You are not the woman I thought you were. What you did was a choice and not a mistake. You can think what you want, and that is not the way it happened and you know it. You had no right to come there and try to manhandle me. Yes, I shouldn't have cheated on you. That was wrong and I will spend the rest of my life making it up to you. But it was just as wrong for you to attack a man who is smaller and weaker than you. And for what it is worth, I only had slept with him that day before you came over there. And it wasn't even that good. You are much better than him in bed. Me? Oh, that just makes me feel so much better. How sensitive of you to only slept with him one time. No way, you only slept with him once. You can't keep from lying, can you? Whatever, OP, think what you want. Me, you know what? Save your BS apologies for someone who gives a crap. I want a divorce and I don't want to drag this out. You take your things and I'll take my things. We'll let the lease on the house run out and we'll go our separate ways. I can get a mediator to draw up a divorce agreement for way cheaper than a lawyer can. I'll pay all the fees. All you have to do is sign the agreement. I'll make it easy for you. Then once we are legally separated, you can go out and sleaze it up with all the bikers and med dealers you want. Do whatever you want, OPM through. That is the way it has been going back and forth. She continues to defend her OM, no remorse. Nothing. Nice, huh? This whole thing is a nightmare. The thing is, if you met my wife, she comes across as a very well-spoken, clean-cut, white bread type of presentable lady. There is nothing outwardly scuzzy about her. She dresses neatly and conservatively, isn't festooned with tats and piercings, and she's in very good shape and looks much younger than her 43 years. I can't wrap my head around her actually dating and sleeping with this guy who looks like a cast member from Sons of Anarchy. I just don't get it. I'm not a bad guy. I work hard, never been arrested, I'm big but not fat. I don't think I look bad for a 45-year-old. I try to dress halfway neatly. I help out around the house, help cook, do all the handyman stuff and car repairs that a blue-collar guy is supposed to do. I always thought if you took care of your woman, treated her right, helped out, and told her I loved her enough that I was doing what a husband was supposed to do. I'm not a particularly nice guy either. I was a Marine, I work in trucking and construction. I've had lots of women in my time and I have my share of sordid tales. I can handle myself and I don't back down from a fight. I thought I was a good husband. I just don't get it. I'll be filing in her state. I just talked to a lawyer yesterday and she is putting me in touch with a paralegal who does mediation. The landlord is out of town for the whole 4th of July week, so I plan to call him Monday next. You know, since I've been here in this little one-horse town, I've had 2 women hit on me. Didn't take long, especially now that I'm not wearing my ring. I haven't responded back to my wife's texts in a while, but one of the things she asked me a little bit ago is if I'm seeing somebody or if I've had slept with anyone. She thinks that's why I really want a divorce. I get 20 texts a day from her. She's pissed again because I'm not responding. I'm going fully dark now. I may call Sprint and have her number blocked. Oh, absolutely, her boyfriend is the victim. Poor, tough man got his back handed to him sleeping with another man's wife. Used her phone to call my mom and the text message showed up on the screen with "Hey baby" or some such. I got into her texts and read through about 4 days of filth. I actually had to go in the backyard and throw up. Anyway, they talked about wanting to see each other again but had to wait until her idiot husband was gone out of town on a driving job. So next day I lie to her and tell her I'll be gone a couple of days running a trailer somewhere. I left that morning but came back a while later and sure as crap she got in her car all dolled up, and I followed her from a distance to his apartment. Saw her walk in. I went down the street to a diner and waited there for about an hour, then I texted her and told her I was home and that the driving job was canceled. Where was she? She said she would be home in 30 minutes. I waited about 5 minutes, got back in my truck and drove back to the apartments and parked where I was just down the street but could see her car. When they came walking out together, they started kissing by her car and that's when I drove in and surprised them. She threw away a good marriage and a guy who loved her for some strange DCK and a few orgasms. I'll never understand it. Not being able to understand it is worse than these images going through my head. I feel like my head is going to explode. My stepson has told all her side of the family. He says most don't care and a few are ticked off. Her dad has tried to call me but I don't answer because I dislike to sob. Everyone on my side of the family is furious. My mom loved her like a daughter. She is heartbroken. I've thought back and honestly, up until I discovered the affair, I saw nothing. Either this was a whirlwind affair and it happened suddenly or it has been going on a while and she is just a really good actress. I'm probably not going to ever know the details of the affair because she would probably just lie if I asked her. I really thought we had a good marriage. We argued like any couple over mundane things, but we always made up. We had way more good times together than bad. She was my best friend, I thought. We went on a date every week and I always tried my best to please her in bed. If she was dissatisfied with me, why didn't she ever just come out and tell me so? She owed me the benefit of the doubt. I could have fixed whatever I was doing wrong. One reason why I'm not going to talk to her anymore. I don't want her losing it and spitefully telling me about all the guys she has been with behind my back. I spent a lot of time out on the road last year, so she has had lots of opportunity, especially when my stepson was gone for school. My trust in her is shot to hell forever, and my love is fading by the minute. Get this, last night she started sending me pics of herself and is back to begging me to come home. What the hell? I feel like Dorothy, wondering when the flying monkeys are going to come bursting through my window. The truth is my wife is an idiot who apparently likes to sleep with scumbag ex-cons. My wife always had a bit of a wild streak, but never did I ever think she was into ex-criminal dirtbags. This has absolutely thrown me for a loop. I deleted the pics, going to Sprint store today to see about getting her number blocked. I didn't beat him up all that badly. I mostly had him down hitting him in the head, boxing his ears. He had his arms over his face so I only got a couple of face shots in. Most of my punches hit his head and ribs. He didn't have to go to the hospital. They actually cuffed him and hailed us both to jail in separate cars. He had warrants out for him. For all I know he is still behind bars. I've been charged with a Class 2 misdemeanor, a couple of steps down from a felony. I do plan on having a lawyer in the wings if this goes south. One remark that she made in a text she sent me last week was something to the effect of "I don't understand why you got so violent. It was only bonding. That guy means nothing to me." So, does that mean any guy she has slept with means nothing to her? I had slept with her. Do I mean nothing to her? It was only bonding. Yes, that was supposed to make me feel better. She would get insanely jealous if I even spoke to other women. It was kind of ridiculous. And whenever I would go out with my buddies to a sports bar or something, she would always sniff me when I got home to see if she could smell another woman on me. She was always the one to condemn people we knew who we heard were having affairs. On top of being a cheat, she is a hypocrite too. I don't get it. She is an award-worthy actress. She never gave me any signs or acted in any way different, except for acting a bit depressed. I just thought she was going through some kind of hormonal change or something, but she never let on that she was unhappy. With the way she turned on me, I'm thinking she never really loved me. I think she married me because I was stable and she was struggling financially. That is a bitter pill to swallow. I had a long phone talk with my stepson this morning about this very thing. He is now sleeping on a couch at his friend's apartment because he doesn't want to go home and deal with his mother's bull crap. He has only been living with us during summer break for the last couple of years, but I asked him if during those times prior to graduating and during summers with us if he had ever thought his mom might be stepping out on me. He told me to his knowledge never. He is just as shocked and confused about what his mom did as I am. He is also severely pissed off at his mom. He told me I was the best thing that ever happened to her and he cannot believe she threw the marriage away for a piece of crap like the other man. He is a great kid and I hate to see him have to deal with all of this while trying to negotiate college. So, at this point I don't have any proof she has ever cheated on me before, but from everyone's posts I am not discounting the possibility. It just sucks that I had to find out this way. I would rather she had just told me a year ago she wasn't happy and we could have divorced and gone our separate ways. Yes, it would have hurt, but not like this. And last night I went to a 4th of July barbecue with my buddy, and there were 2 or 3 single women in their late 30s who were chatting me up, and one even gave me her phone number. So, when I am ready to date eventually, there will be no shortage of available ladies here in this town I'm living in. I really like this town. I'm not crazy about the job I have, but I'm not complaining. Cement truck driving is not my cup of tea, but there is an opening for a school district bus driver here. I have a T, P, and an H endorsement, so it should be no problem to pass the state CDL test here and get a P endorsement too to haul kids. I'm heartbroken over my wife, but I see myself making a nice future here. A fresh start. I guess with her it is quantity of bonding over quality, because there wasn't anything she and I have not tried and enjoyed repeatedly with each other. I'm no slouch at pleasing her. I guess I just have to let it sink in. She needs bonding and attention from multiple men to feel like she is wanted and desired. I guess it really is that simple. She alternates between angry and sad and apologetic in her texts. I don't know what her real feelings are. She sent me some more pics of her in a tight t-shirt she knows I like. And she texted me this morning telling me she had gone to the store to stock up all the makings for the meals she knows I like. So, I think she thinks if she keeps up the pressure I will cave in and come back. And no, I haven't told her I am not coming back. She just sent me an angry text about how she is going to pay the bills, how is she going to make rent, and on and on. I haven't answered any of them since that conversation I posted a few days ago. I'm going to call the landlord Monday and tell him the situation and see if I can get out of the lease. I don't know if she is an emotional wreck or not. I think she is mostly angry at me for not putting up with her crap. Yeah, I need to block her. I was going to do it last week but never got around to it. I barely know the piece of crap. And I plan to tell my landlord his contractor is the reason he's losing a renter. I have no problem hitting this guy where he hurts. And I'm leaving her more than half the money. I earned that money driving a gravel truck in Alaska in the winter. That was hard-earned cash. Hopefully she'll prepay the rent so my landlord doesn't get stiffed. Then she can move her tattoo stud in and he can watch my big screen and sleep on my lazy boy. Ducking W. Well, I managed to get her number blocked. It's weird. Even though her texts are all over the place and mostly annoying, they were my last link to her. In a way, I guess I am addicted to the attention. Now that is really sick. The court date, July 25th. But I haven't told her. I hope to sneak into town, take my licks and then exit town post-haste. Hopefully the same day. Just got off the phone with my stepson. He went over to the house to pick up the rest of his clothes, and he said the minute he walked in the door his mother lit into him. She was demanding he tell her where I was and was threatening him. He told her he did not know where I was, which is true, and said he wouldn't tell her even if he did. So, I guess she kicked him out for good. Poor kid. Luckily, he has a good friend who has taken him in and they are going halves on an apartment. He says the wife looks awful and she acts like she has been drinking or was stoned. I'm beginning to think more and more that she is on something. I was up last night, yesterday and today are my days off, and I was trying to piece together what I knew about my wife's first marriage. I got to thinking about things she had told me and things that she had hinted at over the years but never fully disclosed to me about her and her ex-husband. Wondering if there were any things about her first marriage that should have been red flags to me when we were dating and engaged. Here is what I do know. She dated her husband in high school and college, and they were eventually married in 1991 after she got pregnant. She miscarried that first child, but they remained married even though she says they were not really compatible. He was in the Air Force and they moved around during his enlistment. She claims that he was sometimes verbally and physically abusive towards her when he drank. Their son came along in 1993 and she says after he was born the marriage settled into a friends with benefit type relationship. She once told me offhandedly, when she and I had been drinking a bit too much one night a couple years ago, after we were married, that something happened when she and her ex were stationed in Germany around 1994. They were at a party with 2 other couples and she said that everyone was drunk and things got a little crazy. I asked her what she meant and she just smiled at me and asked me, "What do you think?" I couldn't get her to tell me anymore, and when I would bring it up from time to time, she would brush it off. I'm pretty sure she and her ex had a swinging experience that particular night, but given that it was in my wife's past I didn't push for more information. I flat out asked her once a few months later if she and her ex had been swingers. She seemed kind of shaken by my question and said something to the effect of my ex and I both did things we weren't proud of. But that's not why we divorced. I divorced him because he exed me up and I got tired of it, not because of the other stuff. What the other stuff was I never found out, and looking back I should have pushed her for answers. During our marriage and up until the point I discovered her affair, our physical life was good. I have to say I was more adventurous than her, but she never declined my request to do different things in bed, and she seemed to be versed in just about every physical practice. Thing was, the physical acts that excited me and I felt were a bit exotic, she treated with a been there, done that sort of attitude. It made me wonder if she had done those things so many times before that what I thought was kinky or freaky was pretty much run-of-the-mill for her. Another thing that makes me wonder about my wife's past proclivities is the way she acted when she was drunk. Most of the time, when she is sober, she is a very calm, quiet, responsible type of person. but get her drunk and all bets are off. We went to a Super Bowl party a couple of years ago at our favorite watering hole and met up with a few other couples who we are friends with. Well, she and one of the other gals had been drinking pretty steadily all afternoon, and when our team won, the place erupted into a big celebration. I dove into the restroom to relieve myself at one point, and when I came out, imagine my surprise to see 7 or 8 women standing on top of the bar doing a Coyote Ugly dance, and my wife was up there with them. She was drunk and laughing and obviously enjoying the attention of the men in the crowd. I was in the back making my way up to our table, and I have to admit that, at first, I thought it was funny and cool, but then my wife started lifting her top. I was shocked to see she was no longer wearing her top. Well, I ran up and yelled at her to knock it off, and I grabbed her and lifted her off the bar. She got pissed. I mean madder than hell, and started cussing at me and berating me in front of everyone. Then she grabbed her purse and told me she wanted to go home. Well, we did, and we fought all the way home. She didn't talk to me for 2 days after that incident. That incident was the first time I really saw a different woman than the one I thought I married. Looking back, we sort of let the situation die out and glossed over it. But looking back, I should have seen some warning signs in that little escapade of hers. Makes me wonder what other things she was doing behind my back. I don't know why I'm writing about this. Maybe some of you can see a pattern. I think all this is part and parcel of being away from her. I'm not back there with her, reacting to things. Being here, I have a lot of time to really think about things, and unfortunately going back and rehashing the marriage is dominating my thoughts. I know I should be concentrating on building a new life and living for myself, but this is all so raw and sudden. I feel like I'm in a dream. It's all surreal. I constantly catch myself questioning everything I do. The hypocrisy of my wife astonishes me. I really don't get it. And if she and her ex had tried swinging or something of the like, where does she get off condemning others? They don't have any contact. When my wife ran from her ex in 2000, she got full custody and a restraining order and would not allow him around her or her son. He has called my stepson maybe 3 or 4 times that I know of in the last 4 years. He never paid any child support either. Now I think that is one of the reasons I think my wife married me. She was in debt up to her eyeballs, and having me there to pay the bills allowed her to pay off her debts. The more I think about this whole sordid situation, the more I become convinced that, for her at least, this has been a marriage of convenience. Can't understand what he was providing her that I was not, except maybe a taste of danger. He's definitely the bad boy type, whereas I'm the blue-collar working guy type. I'm hoping it's not meds, but my gut is telling me it is. Talked to the landlord and gave him the short version of what happened. He's been thinking of firing the OM for a while because he's not good at what he does. He is just cheap. Well, he says the guy is gone as of tomorrow, so at least I have satisfaction of knowing I got the bastard canned from his contract. Bad news is I can't get out of the lease unless he finds a new renter. He says I should wait and see if the wife can pay the rent. If she can't, then he will start the eviction process. He will work with me, given it was his contractor who screwed things up. I like to party every once in a while, and I'll kick up my heels when the mood comes over me, but I go for quiet pastimes like reading or making knives. My wife is more social and outgoing than me, but I never thought she would cheat. Oh, almost forgot, I have a Skype meeting set up with paralegal who is going to draw up the divorce agreement next Monday. I'm actually excited. She emailed me a bunch of forms I have to fill out. A bunch. Since I don't sleep anymore, I spent most of last night filling out the divorce agreement forms. It is a weird feeling to be doing so. He called me just a few minutes ago and said his mom told him to come and move all of his belongings out. She's mad at me, so she is taking it out on him. I arranged for a friend of mine there who owns a storage unit to let him stow his stuff there. Poor kid. I feel bad for leaving him alone to deal with her crap. To my stepson's credit, he has put up with a lot from his mom since his childhood. She was the quintessential battered wife, and she reacted by overprotecting him, and that brought about a lot of animosity between them later on. When I took off, I was planning to call all the in-laws and my family one by one and explain the situation. Well, when I disappeared, the wife called everyone asking where I was. Then when they couldn't find me, they called my stepson. My stepson is honest to a fault. He doesn't lie for anyone, and so he told everyone who called him the truth about his mom's cheating and why I left. Her family knows. They actually came down on my stepson for stirring the pot. They won't go against their daughter. They are white trash, believe it or not, but she is the best of the lot of them. Scummy people. Even the cops were kind of on my side, but someone had to go behind bars. Then while they were cuffing me, lo and behold, the dispatcher came back and told them the OM had outstanding med warrants. So, they shackled him and hauled him off. Haven't spoken to any of them except her older sister a couple days after it happened. I wasn't answering the wife's calls, so her sister called me from a number I didn't recognize and tried to read me the riot act. Given that this a woman who has cheated on her own husband at least 2 times that we know of and thinks it was no big deal, I was in no mood to be lectured by her. I promptly told her to stuff it and hung up on her. Haven't spoken to any of the rest of them. My comment is important to have a strong person in these marriage lessons. This OP is giving himself a chance to succeed in his relationships. There will be more details in part 2. See you there.